No, I can make them where, so the EPA is taking topsoil out of the field on Boulder 66, which is west of 60 on the south side. It's dry, I guess, enough last week they did with all the topsoil out, so they had, I don't have anything. They done a patch job there west of the roundabout, and I guess they decided they was gonna detour around it, so they started taking 60th south on Beasley. And from that stop sign plumb to the highway, they had trashed that road. And the spider web, it's got big ruts in it now, to the point that you get down by the stop sign, the asphalt's actually used up.
He called me and asked me for permission to do that, and, I mean, they were gonna tear up the fresh asphalt that we just laid, so I thought that's my only option. The second issue with that is that he stated that he had video and stuff of the road before they started on 66. That's the first time I was told about them using anything on 66. So then it goes back to the road use policy where we would know that they were there, and have a chance to, view the exact area they're running beforehand, so then we can be.
Sound on.
They just took the, that out of my hands.
Down here, south four corners there, but west, there's just a constant string of dump trucks on that road, just one after another, all coming from east going in there. That road is, they got that road for the whole pieces.
He was asking me about doing patches and stuff on like the Dewberry 90th area down in there. I told him, he was asking if I wanted rock or asphalt in there right now. I told him rock for now. Doesn't mean they can't do asphalt, but they can do the rock, so.
Will they be able to reimburse us for asphalt in the event we have to go down and?
That's what we were told in here. Nothing in legal form ready.
Unless it's another FEMA deal, and yeah, we'll do that, but we're not gonna pay it for 2 years.
Yeah. Put a copy right there, we're talking about the EPA right now. I emailed that to you, but I don't know if you got it. They got new legal counsel.
Okay.
And we're having issues again. I'm talking
Okay.
Anything, Josh?
No.
I don't either.
All on the road, that's where the road, down there especially, that's messed up, the dump trucks.
Jake, do you have anything to say about the resolution? I guess this is very cut, simple.
Yeah, it's basically the same resolution, adding in a couple whereas paragraphs, acknowledging it's been extended previously, and the request is from the planning commission based on the timeline anticipated for the comprehensive plan.
I would make a motion that we approve resolution 20-2025 that extends the prohibition and suspension of commercial solar energy projects until July 1, 2026.
So,
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay.
I won't forget that we have the revenue neutral rate. We've got a few minutes before our next appointment, so we need to, we already, did we not take formal action on the revenue neutral rate? Probably didn't have the rate plan.
We didn't.
Okay.
I think we
So
said
we
we
knew,
got a hearing.
yeah, we knew we were gonna exceed the revenue neutral rate. The proposed mill levy rate with Gene reworking the numbers that we gave him last week is 37.939.
37.939. Good.
This is a notice by us to the clerk of our intention to raise the revenue neutral rate to 37.939. I would recommend that we approve that. All right, make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. No signature for us.
Today, I think, yeah. Is it Doug or Bob? Bob?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know you were coming today.
I just came to be available if you need me. For
You
the
just
class,
came what?
in case you need something.
Yeah.
Carla emailed me about some class LTD questions.
Yeah, would you be on the agenda next week? Would that be convenient for you?
Yes, absolutely.
We have several questions, to be frank.
Okay.
I don't think any of us knew that the county owns the facility, the building for the administrative office on Merle Evans.
Okay.
Just briefly, since we have a few minutes,
Mhm.
how did we come about that ownership?
I do not know. It was well before my time. We've signed the lease that we're currently working on in 1998. It was an 87-year lease. I can bring a copy of it next week if you'd like.
Could you email that to the clerk's office so she
Yes.
could forward it to us before then?
Yeah.
That'd be much appreciated. I can't think of other questions. Anything that shows an agreement between our part at least, the four-county participation in, you know what I'm talking about? I mean, we give you annual allotments,
Mm-hmm.
$120,000.
Mm-hmm.
How that started? Do we have any sort of agreement on that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, it's just been by request.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know one thing, we really weren't making heads or tails of your reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Your reserves as of January 1, 2025 were what?
We don't have what most people would consider cash reserves. We have an investment account. Our total investment account / reserve is less than 2 months of operating expenses if we would ever lose funding.
You don't have an accounting of it. I'm curious. I mean, I guess I would just ask what the cash was in the bank under your authority on January 1, 2025.
I could not give you an exact amount. Our CFO would have to do that.
Okay.
She's out until next week, but I can have her come with me next week if that would be good.
So that's one thing we're interested in. Anything else to prepare for that? Yeah, if you could just come and share some light on that.
Yeah.
'Cause we were pretty astonished, I would say, to know that we own that building.
Mm.
I have to say, it actually concerns me that we have ownership of it, and the liability of it. I don't ever remember seeing an insurance policy that we're named as lost payee.
I can provide those as well. We
Right.
carry full coverage and everything. I can bring that, or
Right.
email it to you before next week.
That would be awesome.
Mhm.
Michelle will see that we get that before. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
If, when you leave, if you wanna step over there and get the email,
Okay,
that'd be great.
all right,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
all right, thank you.
Well, that was good. Get that information
Yeah.
before we meet again. What? That's what Corey said. That'd be a great idea. It's 12,000 square foot. I do,
Might be big enough for both.
That's huge.
It is huge.
I do want to tour it. I mean, I don't see how they could use that much square footage for administration. Right behind the county.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Do you have any idea how much of that property you own?
3 acres. 12,000 plus square foot building.
I had no idea. Those one. You said 1998?
Yeah.
That's the building where they made the parachutes and stuff at?
No, that's out here. This one's back behind McDonald's.
I thought when they got out of high school, they were building.
I didn't hear the year. Did you
I thought
say?
He
87.
said 87 years.
That's what I thought.
Something out there at
That's
one
odd.
time.
That is weird. That's a long time to sign a lease.
It's a small number.
Scott, tell us who those commissioners were in '88.
In '88,
They're on your side.
Well, that,
Put the
quits in the
glasses on.
fifties.
What?
That list quits in the fifties, I think, doesn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, it
okay.
ends.
no, it ends in 1954.
I've got the list.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Scott, if you wanna come on up. we're
Jeff,
good.
are you commissioner back then? No. 50. In the 80s? Yeah.
What can we do for you?
What I want to discuss is a culvert getting put on the north side of my driveway, and then my mailbox being removed.
Okay.
When Brian Williams came out to install the culvert on the north side of my driveway and one on the south side of my driveway, he was told to install the culvert and pull my mailbox out and move my logs off the road. And my mailbox is no longer there. And that mailbox had been there for 60 years. The mailboxes are federally protected and state protected. And I know that Brian got his orders from Mr. Zook to pull my mailbox, and I want to know what gives him the right to tell anybody to remove anybody's mailbox in the county.
I would defer that to our councilor.
I don't know what, so was the culvert put in on your property or is it's across from yours?
Oh,
The neighbor's property.
Let's get what, I'm sorry, you had asked for something to write on?
Yes,
Michelle did?
yes.
All right, Michelle, what's that for?
All right, here's 90th. Here's Messer. Here's my driveway, and it goes up to the house. And this is west. This is west.
Okay.
Okay. This driveway right here goes up to my house. This is my mom's right here. I had a culvert right here, an old concrete culvert. And my mailbox was right here. My mom's mailbox was on this post also. The guy that owns the land here and back around, actually all the way around me like a horseshoe, he put a gate right here behind my mailbox, which I have pictures of. And then he had the county come in and install a culvert here, and there was a little bitty strip of land after he had a survey done, which we always thought this was all mom's. He had a culvert installed right here too, and he started causing a lot of problems with my mom. Mom took him to court for adverse possession.
because she's always used that property. She's lived there since 1979, and she won her lawsuit. And she owns clear to my driveway now. When this culvert was installed on both sides of my driveway, Brian Williams told me he was told to remove my mailbox, which he did not do. He told me I'm not gonna do that. And he goes, I'm not gonna mess with your logs across the road either. I've been stacking logs across the road for 20 years since the tornado was there. But my mailbox got yanked out by the guy on the north side of me on a Friday morning. And Mom's mailbox got thrown in her yard, which he actually threw it on his property, so she never had access to her mailbox, and our mail had to be delivered to the neighbors down the street for almost a year until the lawsuit was settled. But I know Brian got his orders from Mr. Zook to pull my mailbox, and that is not legal.
But Brian did not pull the mailbox?
Brian did not pull the mailbox, but he told me he was told to.
Okay.
And then my mailbox the next week got yanked out.
Okay.
And we have a deposition of the neighbor that owns the property admitting to pulling the mailbox.
Okay.
Now, he's got access to his property. My grandpa used to own all this. And this mailbox was put in around 1967, 1968, when my grandpa moved back here from California. There's a gate right here. And when this guy was renting this property from friends, this is how he entered his property. And he was actually using my driveway. There was an entryway right here at one point my grandpa had, and I put these corners in. And when he fixed this fence up my driveway, I started getting flat tires, and he'd thrown a bunch of metal in my driveway when he took the fence down. And I told the sheriff's department, we got tired of his cows being out. His cows have been in my yard more times than anything, and they've torn up all kinds of stuff. And my mom's 74 years old, and she doesn't need to be getting cows in for a neighbor. And she finally got onto him for it. That's what started all this. And it's a bunch of nonsense that mailbox after 60 years got pulled. And I've talked to Mom's attorney. Told me that there's been 3 mailboxes in Cherokee County that he knows of that have been removed in the last 5 years. And mailboxes are federally protected. They're private property in the state of Kansas. And there's nobody other than the attorney or the postmaster general that has the authority to have a mailbox moved. And if it's been there for 60 years, they're not going to move it.
So are you saying that Road and Bridge removed it, or your neighbor?
Brian Williams, my neighbor removed it, your cousin, by marriage. But Brian Williams told me he was told to remove that mailbox, and we don't need somebody running the county that thinks they can remove mailboxes, that does that. That is an abuse of power. It's a federal offense, because he does not have the authority to remove anybody's mailbox, period.
A meeting with you, I thought you said that Road and Bridge removed it. I think this grievance is with the neighbor, not with Road and
No,
Bridge.
I want my culvert put back the way it was, so that my driveway drains into the ditch like it used to, instead of running down the road. I want my mailbox put back where it belongs.
So this is off of, what road is your driveway?
This is 90th.
9.
It goes to the jail.
Southeast 9.
Oh, okay.
There should have never been a culvert put behind my mailbox to begin with. And I'm sure Brian came out here to install a culvert, and he called in and said, hey, there's a mailbox here. And he was told to remove it. I guarantee that's how it happened. Because Brian would never put a culvert there unless he was told to.
So your mailbox was in the right of way in front of the neighbor's property?
Yes, and he just bought that place.
Okay. And he wanted to put a culvert there?
He called the county and had him put a culvert in there, after he put a gate right here.
Okay. And that mailbox was in the way of that culvert that was put in?
It was right in front of the culvert, right in the center.
Well, sounds like the culvert was installed with the mailbox still in place.
It was, but the
And then
culvert
the
should have never been put behind my mailbox to begin with. How do you justify putting a culvert in the middle, or somebody's mailbox right in the middle of it, to even have a use for it to drive in and out of your property?
Can't be in the middle of it if it's still standing.
It's in the middle of the front of the culvert, where it's been for 60 years.
So you put it back up there?
No, it's never been put back up. I do not have a mailbox to my house. 2392 Southeast 90th Street, there is no mailbox.
And that's been how long ago?
2 years.
Where do you get your mail?
It goes to my mom's mailbox.
Where's her mailbox?
Her mailbox used to be next to mine, and it's been moved over here on this property that she got adverse possession of.
So is this your drive here?
Yeah.
This is yours?
That's my mom's place right here.
Do you have any road frontage there beyond just your driveway?
No.
Okay. I mean, if it's, who owns that property, I guess, is that north of you then? Right, that property is north of you where your
Yes,
mailbox
this is
was?
north.
Okay, who owns that?
Trey Cloud.
Okay. Now, seems like the county's role in this is putting in the culvert. They didn't remove the mailbox. I understand your frustration that you believe they were instructed to remove the mailbox.
I know they were. Brian Williams told me he was.
Right.
I've known Brian since we were 10 years old. We used to play Little League ball together in Riverton.
If your neighbor took down your mailbox, that's an issue between you and your neighbor, right? As far as who tampered with, touched a mailbox and whether
I've
that's.
discussed it with
that's-
our new sheriff, and he said it is a crime in the city of Kansas.
Right.
Destruction of private property.
It was 2 years ago, you probably have, you're still within the statute of limitations, that they want to investigate
I've
that.
been told by an attorney after deposition that there is no statute of limitations on it. It happened. And he admitted to it.
Right, but I'm saying they've got 5 years if it's a criminal offense typically to file charges, so you're still within that amount of time. I mean, beyond a complaint that you don't like the way stuff's running at Road and Bridge, I mean, I understand your frustration.
How do you put a culvert behind a mailbox? How's that legal?
That's not really for us to decide here whether that's legal or not legal. I mean, the opposing argument would be it's his property and he can put an entrance to his property where he wants to put it. The mailboxes, they're technically considered federal property once they're installed. They're not even the individual's property anymore. It's in a right of way, it wasn't on your real estate or in front of your real estate. Except I'm not justifying him taking it down or justifying the county giving direction to remove it. That may or may not have been appropriate. I don't know off the top of my head, but at the end of the day, the county did remove it. The county put in a culvert, which they can do to private property across the county right of way.
How do you justify putting a culvert behind a mailbox where somebody can't even drive in and out? Why wouldn't you put the culvert 10 feet up the road where they can drive in and out of their property without a mailbox being in their way?
I think that's between you and Mr. Clow about him using that driveway.
And a mailbox that's been in place for 60 years is a prescriptive easement.
Can't have a prescriptive easement on a right of way.
So it's perfectly legal to yank somebody's mailbox out.
That's not what I'm saying.
I've read the federal laws and I've talked to attorneys and they told me otherwise.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying there probably should be some process for that. But it's his property, he can put a culvert in there if he wants. If the county did that work for him at his direction, the county didn't remove the mailbox.
So you're saying that on the other side of the road's my property from the and I can stack my logs clear up to the edge of the road if I want to.
I'm not saying whose property is anybody's property. That's, what do you want this board to do? Like, what is your?
I would like my culvert put back the way it was so that my driveway drains off into the ditch and not washes all my gravel down the center of the stinking road where I have to get on my skid loader and go drag it all back up every time it rains hard.
What happened to your culvert?
They yanked it out, and they put one great big long culvert all the way down through there. The concrete culvert that used to be there is across the road on my property. I had Brian move all of it over there because I wanted the culverts.
So they just extended the culvert?
They put all brand new culvert all the way across from clear over here on the, where Mom's property line is, all the way probably 16 to 20 feet this side of it, past my mailbox. That is all one solid piece of culvert now. There is no way for anything to drain into the ditch. It all runs right out in the road. And this right here is over 1/8 of a mile of gravel driveway. And after a hard rain, that whole road all the way down the side is nothing but gravel. And I have to go get on my skid loader and scrape it all back up and put it up my driveway. Never used to do that. It used to always congregate down at the bottom, and the water would go off in the ditches. This culvert could have been installed up here on the road where he could drive straight in his pasture. There's a patch of trees right here. You can see all that on your thing. There's no reason why. And what he's also doing is he'll drive in here with a big trailer and he'll swing way out on my property beyond the ditch, because I've cleaned all this off on this side so they can get the tractors and equipment, semis and everything else in there. And he wants to swing all that in there to squeeze in this little bitty gate that he did, a 16-foot gate right here. Whenever he could have put a culvert up here and had 2 gates, and he'd have perfectly good room to drive in here and stay off the ditch and everything else.
So your issue with the county is drainage on your property?
Right. And the culvert where it was installed. That should have never all been put in as one piece.
Did they talk to you about it before they did it? You just came home?
It just
and
got
everything
done,
was-
Brian was getting ready to install it, and he said, I was told to take your mailbox out and move your logs off the road. I mean, our logs are not on the road, they're in the ditch, on the other side of the ditch, on my property.
I'm not sure what we need to do today. Talk to Cody and see what's going on. I mean, I don't know if there's any prohibitions on putting culverts that close. I mean, it creates a drainage issue. That's a different story, but.
Maybe ask Cody to revisit, look at that and see if there's any remediation.
Oh, sorry, Cody, I didn't see you were back there.
Would, eliminate the gravel wash, just if there's any potential there, but I thought your big issue was that we removed your mailbox. I misunderstood entirely. And I understand your grief with your neighbor. I resent your implication that I'm biased in any way
Never
against
said
you
you were biased. I
because
said
of my
you were related to
husband's
him.
second cousin. I think I've treated you very fairly.
And you've also
Meaning-
told me that I had my logs sitting on the
I
asphalt.
saw those personally.
Okay,
I
now,
went
let
out
me
and
ask you
saw
something,
those
let me ask you
personally.
something. When I called you about an issue with that road, and Zook showed up out here,
Zook showed up
Zook
there.
showed up out there, when I called you about the issue with the road, 3-4 years ago, whenever it was.
2020.
He showed up out there, and the first thing out of his mouth is, you need to move your logs. And I told him, I said, those logs are fine. Those logs had been stuck there for 1.5 years, because I cut them off at Rick Jesse's place a mile north of me when I cleared 7 acres off for him. And I hauled them all out there so I could cut them into firewood. Okay? Zook comes out there, and that's his complaint, and I called you back, and I said, I'm not gonna have somebody retaliate against me over stuff like that, and you said he's not that way. You remember that conversation?
I don't, but I don't doubt I
Okay.
said that. I don't doubt I
You said,
said
that's
that.
what you said.
I don't doubt that.
And then 2 years later, these culverts happened, and Brian Williams was told to move my logs off the road.
2 years later.
He's got a chip on his shoulder that he wants to rule the world out there. And I'm gonna ask you this, what was the did you physically see my logs sitting on the asphalt?
Scott, I met with you Saturday, and I told you that.
And you see them physically sitting on the
I
asphalt?
saw-
Okay.
I saw
Do you
them.
remember what the issue was of what I had with the road when I called you?
No, I don't.
We had 6 to 8 inches of snow and ice on the road, and I went down to Tubmore's to put wood on his stove for him, because it's 0 degrees if he couldn't get out the snow. And I couldn't get back up the hill in 4-wheel drive. That was my issue. Now, how did you see my logs sitting on the asphalt when it's completely covered in snow and ice? And do you think I would stack logs on a road, and they sit there for a year and a half, and somebody, the sheriff's department that drives by periodically, or somebody else wouldn't have said, hey, you need to get these off the road or get something done about it? I know Jack knows me good enough to know I wouldn't stack logs on the asphalt of the road.
If the pavement is not on the road access, that's the only way that your logs were not on the road. Your logs were on the asphalt.
How do you know where the asphalt was when there's 8 inches of snow and ice on it?
Not when I was there.
You know what you told me when I called you the second time, I asked you to come out and look at the road? And you know what you told me? I can't get out of my driveway because it's too slick.
I don't doubt that.
So how did you come out and look at my logs?
It may not have been that day, Scott.
I've never had, do you think if there were logs on the asphalt, somebody wouldn't have hit them with a car? It's a 2-lane road with no shoulder.
That's why it's a danger. They weren't out in the middle. They were on the asphalt.
I
That's
have
not
never
the
put
edge.
logs on the asphalt. I'm not that stupid.
We're not gonna agree on that, so. Where else can we move with this? Any questions that you guys have for Scott?
Can we go look at it and see if there's a way to fix the drainage?
Somebody else can go with me, cause I've only talked to him one time and we already have differences on how that went, so. I don't think it's. So wherever you guys want me to handle it, do it.
When was the culvert installed?
I'm guessing 2 years ago,
2
I'd have
years
to
ago,
look back on my
it's been
records.
done.
I think that's all we can do is go look and see if there's a way to help the drainage issue.
Okay. Our road and bridge is committed to looking at that and seeing if there's any way to remediate that wash.
And what are you gonna do about the hole in the middle of Messer Road that I sent you a picture of yesterday?
I just reported that this morning, Scott.
Now, let me tell you something. That's the 4th time that's happened at that culvert.
You told me that.
And there's it's like a big funnel now. It's about this big around. I went down and looked at it this morning. It's right in the middle of the westbound lane. Where if a motorcycle hits that, it's not gonna be a good thing.
That's why it
Now,
was reported.
let me tell you this, the first time it happened, Road and Bridge came out and they stuck asphalt, speed bump, right across that road, patch that. Okay? On a Sunday morning, I was going to Joplin, and there was a girl, probably 18 years old, just past that, headed east. And the front wheel was completely shattered all the way around her hub of her car from hitting that. And she was sitting there crying. She was trying to get hold of her dad. She didn't know what to do. This is the 4th time that hole is opened up, and all you're doing is making a huge, you can, if you're going the speed limit and you hit that, you can almost go airborne. And if anything else gets added to the top of it, it's gonna be even worse. And people are driving $80,000, $100,000 trucks, and you're knocking the front ends out from under your trucks and stuff, hitting stuff like that. Our road should not be that way. That road needs to be cut. The top needs to be stripped off of it, and we need to find out where that hole's going. That hole, patching it with asphalt's not helping. They're paved over it with a paver, and now it's got a hole punched in it again. The farmers aren't driving 2-ton farm trucks anymore. They're driving 80,000-pound trucks up and down those roads. And they're beating the box culverts to death.
That we know.
And that big hole that's opening up in that road eventually is gonna get somebody killed.
Where's it at on Messer?
Right there where Messer Schoolhouse used to be, in between the hills. There's a box culvert. The people on the north side of the road have a pond. And then Bill and Regina live on the south side. That needs to be fixed. It doesn't need to be bandaged up every time a hole opens up on it. That whole road needs to be smoothed out and made flat. When I turn off that road and I go P Highway into Missouri, it's perfectly smooth, just like a highway. That's the road's a disaster, and everybody that lives on it says the same thing. and then you go in and you put a surface on it, and you put a ridge down the center of it. That costs the taxpayers money in asphalt, and then you bring a planer in and plane the ridge off. So that's another waste of money. And then there's places where the ridge still exists down by the bridge, and it will grab your front tire and pull you into the other lane. And when it's snowy or cold or slick out, it's even worse. And there's no reason, that road is a very heavily traveled road, there's no reason why it should not be smooth.
I think you're the only one that hasn't, I don't know if you've driven it, you haven't commented on it publicly, but I know Corey's driven it and doesn't see a problem. I don't know how many times I've done this down that road, trying to, there was a ridge initially, they milled it. I just,
The hole now, this hole he's talking about is, how big is it, Scott?
The hole's this big around.
Right
I
now,
stuck a tape measure in at 13 inches.
to the bottom of it?
No, not to the bottom, just where my tape measure hung up. And you can look down in there and all it is jagged asphalt, as far down as you can see. But it's starting to sink. There's a 2-foot circle around it like a funnel. And if you hit it with your front tire right now, it acts like it's gonna knock the wheel off the car.
You know, like I say.
And a
it's
motorcyclist,
dangerous to be a
it's
motorcycle.
not gonna be good.
we're
Well, that's
jumping all
something
over the place.
that's something that needs to address.
And it will be, I mean, just reported this morning.
Oh, okay.
So I'm back on Messer Road and he's jumping onto that hole again.
But
entirely
it's on
different
Messer
issues.
Road, though, the hole is.
Right,
Okay.
but I'm just, he's, last conversation about the overall Messer Road, the paving that was done and I
And
just
when you
don't
come
see
off the
it.
Spring River Bridge headed west, there is a ridge down the center of that road still to this day. And I'm sure the semis, the green trucks driving up down that road have flattened a lot of that out some, but there's no reason why that road was ever, should have been done that way to begin with. Somebody doesn't know how to use a spreader box. If they're built, there should be a line, a string line put down the center of that road, and that box should follow that straight line, and everything should be feathered off to the ditch, not drug up to the center of the road. That ridge would have never existed had it been done right. And that asphalt was put down the thickness of the gravel, because they smeared the gravel across the road. It shouldn't have been made that thin. Should have been done right.
Cody. Talk to him about the hole, if it's a hole.
Something that needs to be
It's
addressed.
a wash.
If you did that to a state highway, you got fired for doing it. The state would put up with a road like that. And here we've got it in the county, and our roads should be just as nice as the state highways.
State ways, asphalt that thin and thinner,
Our roads can be
They
as
don't
nice
put
as
a
we
ridge down the
want to pay
middle of a
for.
highway.
and then they go in and mill them off. You go through Crestline, they spent a ton of money making that road, and it was so stinking rough, they had to go in there and mill it back off. The mill marks are still on the highway.
And that's your paving crew. The paving company was responsible for that.
It's a state highway.
The state didn't do that, though. They contracted it out to the contractor. When they built the new bridges going to Pittsburgh, they were like this, and they had to plane them off. And that was the contractor that did that. From what I heard, he had to pay all that back to the state.
Lead state pays that.
I was in college at the time. I drove that road every day. There's no reason why our roads can't be fixed right in this county. And I'm gonna bring up something else I talked to you about Saturday too while I'm here. It's cadmium and lead. I did a bunch of logging over around Joplin, and I got to talk to the EPA director over there. He's retired now. And I questioned him about them dumping all the chat and contaminated ground in Big Blue up at the Orinoco Circle. And he told me that they're not necessarily concerned about the lead. The news media makes the lead thing out of proportion. Cadmium is what they're concerned about. Cadmium, if you read online, is 5 times more hazardous than lead to a human. And he said that when you dump it into a body of water like that, it will encapsulate itself and it stays there. It does not go through the water table or anything else like people would think. They've done studies on it. That's what he told me. And we've dumped chat on our gravel roads for almost 100 years in this county, up until the EPA started cleaning stuff up, and you couldn't get chat no more. Now, all that cadmium and lead that's in that chat has washed down into the ditches and probably concentrated itself in certain areas. And now, we're taking road graders up these roads and we're grading all that dirt, the silt, who knows what kind of toxic metals and stuff is mixed in with that. We're putting it right in the center of the roads. And then when it dries out in the summertime, cars are driving down those roads and it's stirring up all that dust. And all these people that live on these gravel roads are having to breathe all this dust that could contain cadmium and lead, and the health effects on it are horrendous if you got large amounts of cadmium in your body. And we've got lots of people in this county that are dying of cancer and have all kinds of stuff wrong with them, especially the older people. And I know a couple of them that have passed away from lung cancer that have never smoked or anything like that live on gravel roads. At what point is and I talked to the EPA here recently, and they told me that if it's not on private property, they're not really gonna be able to clean it up because that's county property, our roads are. But they will clean up yards in Baxter or wherever if they're at certain levels, which they just did one on military. And at what point is someday a lawyer gonna have a class action lawsuit with the people in the county that are sick over the gravel that's on the road and all the dust? And nothing's being done about it. When you drag all that out of the ditches and you got heavy metals mixed in with it, that should go to a containment area. Like the EPA sends all their dirt and everything that's contaminated. It should not be put in the center of the roads and stirred up by vehicles where people that live on those roads have to breathe that. And there's kids riding their side by sides, their four-wheelers and everything else up and down those roads, and we've done it our whole lives out here. But what are the health effects of these people later on having to breathe all this dust? What's gonna happen? A lot of these roads that a lot of people live on need to be chip and sealed or something to contain the dust. And I don't know if the EPA's done tests on the runoff, but there's chaff, this whole county's contaminated with chaff from the runoff off these roads. You can go from 90th to Shawnee Creek through the timber, and that creek, that stream that runs through there is nothing but chaff. Where it dumps into Shawnee Creek, it's just a huge big pile of chaff, which is now limestone because we keep dumping gravel on top of it, and it keeps washing off the road, which is another waste of taxpayer dollars. You got two box culverts draining it down 90th. The big box culvert that used to go across that creek got crushed or caved in. They put a smaller pipe in, it can't handle the water, so now the water runs over the road, and it's completely washed that road down. And here recently, they just dumped a bunch of gravel on it again, and it just keeps getting washed down to Shawnee Creek. That needs to be addressed. It's a waste of money to just keep dumping gravel on something when the water's just taking it down the road, and you can't recover it. But there's things on these gravel roads that need to be addressed in this county. The box culverts, there's nothing in this county that's off-road is built to handle 80,000-pound trucks constantly driving over it. And I watched a truck drive down our road that had 3 axles on the truck and 4 axles on the trailer with a drop tag axle on the back with a crane on it. And I looked online, with that many axles, you're hauling a 150,000-pound load. And that was going down 90th Street. Our roads are not built to handle stuff like that anymore.
As a
They never
concerned
were.
taxpayer, if you see something like that again, I wish you would call our sheriff's department.
There's nothing they can do about it. It's a
It
public
wasn't a
road.
farmer, was it? You said
No,
it
it wasn't a farmer.
Yeah, there is something they can do about it.
The road's not marked for weight.
We have a countywide resolution that if you're gonna drive anything more than 54,000 pounds, you gotta have on a county road, you have to have a permit to do so.
So all farmers have permits to haul their.
There's exceptions for farm and residential use. So if it wasn't an ag load,
If you called the sheriff's department, that truck turned right and headed to Missouri, he's only got 2 miles to go, and there's no way they'd ever catch him anyway.
yeah.
That's the thing. And I've seen, there's trucks go down Messer Road all the time loaded, and they're not farmers. It's people taking shortcuts from Missouri into Kansas and avoiding the highways or whatever they're doing. And I live out there, I'm on that road every day. And up there where my house is, I can sit here and see Messer Road. And the loads going down that road and the traffic is a lot more than what you think. And that's why that road needs to be fixed right and kept up to par. I mean, right now, just since we harvest, all the culverts that go across Messer Road down in between the highway and a mile east. We've patched with asphalt and then patched again with asphalt, and they were smooth. Now there's a half-inch drop in them because the semis have.
The constant battle, Scott.
If we can, when you put a culvert in across a paved road, why are we not getting a compacted rock in there and meeting the compaction standards? There's gotta be a compaction standard. I worked for Crosslands for 5 years. We did parking lots, and they had to meet compaction standards before we could ever pave them. You just don't chuck gravel on something and let people run over it and pack it down.
I don't think we're putting gravel down on anything.
They put a culvert in down by David Clarkson, they poured gravel on top of it. And it became a hole that was this deep, that you had to almost stop to drive through.
Where would they have got the gravel?
He's talking about base rock.
Base rock.
You have any
We
other
can do
concerns?
better jobs fixing stuff on these roads than what we're doing.
It is a constant battle, and I've said it before, we can have as nice of roads as we wanna pay for, but it becomes cost prohibitive to do some things, but
You have a lot more money if you quit dumping gravel in places that keeps washing off though. If you fix those washout areas where they can drain properly, and the culverts can handle what water's going down the ditch, you wouldn't have to buy all this gravel you keep dumping in all these places that are washouts. I mean, there are instances where it rains so hard that there's nothing you can do about it. But down there on 90th, just north of Messer, it does it every time it rains hard. You can get a 2-inch rain and it runs across the road.
I'll say your comments have been heard and will be considered by the appropriate offices. Any questions for Scott?
Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate it. Anybody have any other business?
Jake, you got anything for us?
I do not.
Trying to see what man called ice cream brick, but it's not much. Have you guys been getting any phone calls on solar?
Yeah, I have, especially since the last meeting.
My phone is blowed up since last Thursday or Friday. About a privately owned solar farm going in the southeast corner of Cherokee County. Supposedly it's on the radio.
It's on the
Southeast
radio.
corner of Cherokee County. Supposedly there's a news ad on the radio, multi-$100 million project, solar project in the southeast corner of Cherokee County, a privately owned something. I don't know anything about it, other than
I haven't heard it on the radio. Have you, Larry?
I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah, I have had several calls on it,
just curious.
especially
Anything about it?
after last Monday evening when I got one of my calls. He said, I thought you guys was cutting that down to the point that go along with it. And I said, they come in and met with us, but they're not building no solar farm. Well, the radio doesn't say that. I said, I don't care what the radio said, nothing to it. But
What's the concern?
that way we're getting a solar farm.
I mean, from you as commissioners, tell them we've got a resolution in
That's what I
place.
told 'em.
That's the end of conversation.
And then either a moratorium at this time, give the board more time to work on our comprehensive plan, and that's where it stands as far as I know.
Easy answer.
I'd ask for a 10-minute executive session with 3 commissioners, county council for non-elected personnel.
Is that a motion?
Yes,
I'll second that motion. For how many, 10?
yes, ma'am.
And to return at 10:17? All those in favor? Motion carries.